From the Shelter-in-Place studio of Leslie Jackson, welcome to another special video episode in which I talk with musician, educator, and good friend Timm Walker.
I've been soul searching, running through my mind. Am I wasting my time? I've been hard working. It seems like a crime trying to trace that down. But if there's one thing I discovered, and it's becoming plain to see.
Let's show our t-shirts, Tim.
Boom.
Ta-da! BeaufunK.
You still got to get one of these.
I got to earn one of those.
Yes.
You earn your
You already earned it.
t-shirts.
You're doing this.
But the booty shake it's irresistible.
Oh, if you want to do that now, by all means.
Mm-hmm. If you wonder what that's about, you just have to come to a BeaufunK show.
Absolutely. I come from a gospel background. Grew up playing gospel music, singing gospel music with my brothers. And shortly after I quit my gospel career, I started listening to James Brown. And that kind of just started the whole ball rolling towards secular.
That happened sort of organically, just you were of an age, you got exposed.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think gospel and funk kind of, they have some relativity for sure.
And you grew up in South Carolina, is that right?
South Cackalack, yeah.
What did you say? South Cackalack.
Cackalack.
I have never heard that.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's what
a term of endearment.
Yeah, it is. We hope.
What did your parents do?
My parents were mill workers for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And my father subsequently became a minister.
While you were a kid, while you were an adult.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
It was quite a challenge for me because very early in my sort of maturity, I started thinking differently. When I kind of started to realize a lot of things that were being taught didn't make sense.
Right.
So I went away from that kind of teaching very early, to say the least.
Early teens?
Yeah, as soon as I could leave home, which was 17.
Yeah.
I joined the military when I was 17.
And what was that all? Did all that all kind of come out of the same gesture? Like, guess what? I've been thinking differently. Therefore, I'm going to leave this traditional church family and go to the military. Was that all of a piece?
Yeah, the military part of it was just a means to an end. Just to,
okay.
I mean, we were very poor, to say the least. So that was my way out, and pretty much the only way out that I could see. Certainly didn't have enough money to go to school or anything like that.
Right. And so, was it for you? Was it stuff you were reading, or people you were talking to, or stuff you were?
Some, but I think mostly it was just confusion because the stuff I'd been taught just didn't make sense. So I was,
Right. And yet you celebrate gospel music still, or
I do.
As a genre of music, not as a
as my
roots,
practice, as just my inner musical background.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get rid of it.
Right.
It's in me.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. And everything I do musically, there's a part of that that's still there.
Well, you're also the walking embodiment of the success of it in you. You demonstrate its power and its discipline.
Just a training. It's kind of part of how we were trained.
And so when you say that was how we were trained, you're talking about your family and being singers?
Yes.
How did that look? Like, did you have siblings?
Yeah, the main group that I was a part of was actually really a tribute band. And we probably didn't even know what that meant then, but we basically mimicked a particular gospel group by the name of the Violinaires, and we called ourselves the Violin Notes. So we started a group. It was two of my brothers and two of my cousins. Actually, one of my cousins, 2 cousins. Sorry about that.
Mhm.
I think it's totally 5 or 6 of us, and we just mimicked this one group. And one of our members went on to become legendary in that group.
Oh,
So it
love it.
kind of legitimizes our whole approach back then to some degree.
You were a Violinaires cover band.
We were a Violinaires cover
I
band.
love this. So you're a bass player, you're a support musician. That's all about listening.
Mm-hmm.
And what you've
And being a bass player is about listening and fitting in, or listening and being a good judge of what your place is. There's different ways to approach that. Are you going to play on top of the note, or are you going to play behind the note? Are you going to swing it? I'm kind of a notorious swinger. And I've been both praised for that and ridiculed for it. So it just depends on what, what's needed.
Right.
And what people are hearing about in their own music. If it's an artist that you're supporting, what they hear in their own music, you kind of have to conform to that.
What does swing give music? Forward momentum, emotion, it depends.
Forward momentum, or but I think the best way I can describe it for the music I play is bounce. It gives it like this loping effect. And it causes people to need to move some part of their body.
Right.
And I think without that, if you're playing on top of the note, for example, I mean, some music, some even styles of funk, I think require more of the on top of the note kind of playing. But I just think for the most part, funk is swing. I think generally speaking, funk is swing. So to get out of it, what I think should come out of it, which is move a part of your body or really feel the music.
Yeah.
And I know people feel music in different ways too. I don't want to come off as like really knowing what I'm talking about. Like I said, different people do it. Here's a good question, or here's a good thought.
Okay.
Is Zydeco swing? Does Zydeco have swing, at its core? And because I mean, like you said, you got the 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3.
Right.
You got that kind of going kind of in very stiff meter,
right,
for the most part.
Right.
But if you watch the dancers to Zydeco, they feel swing. You can tell they feel swing by the way they dance. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But am I talking too loud? Sorry. But I'm getting excited. Sorry about that. You can tell they feel some level of swing because of how they move. Some of them, I would say.
You can see
Others, they dance really stiff and
right.
really robotic, and you can tell that's kind of the result of the 1 2 3 4 more than the swing.
Right, because in their heads they're going 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2
Exactly.
3 4 1 2 3 4 instead of 1 2 3 4 1 2 3
Right.
4 1 2 3
Or 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and some in between notes. Right.
And the drummers going doon doon ka doon doon ka doon doon ka.
Right.
It's so straight. What's the bass player doing?
It depends on whose bass player is. Some of them are treating it very 1 2-ish. And people like me, I think, who hear all the in betweens.
Yeah.
I will probably rarely land on the 1 and the 2. Without there being a little bit of lag there, because that's what makes it feel better to me. A simple walk,
Yeah.
blues bass line,
Right.
whereas badoom badoom badoom, it feels better to me if it's a little lag. That's just I'll always play that way.
Yeah. And that's not, is that an intellectual decision? Is that your brain going?
I don't think it is at all.
Right.
If you were taught to value it if you were uh, if you were given music early in your life that made you actually able to hear it,
Right.
like James Brown,
Mm-hmm.
even like gospel,
Yeah.
be able to hear that swing, then I think you play with it.
So from in the military, you got to play in a military band.
I did.
Mhm.
It was mostly on the ship, though. We never went out and
Were you on
toured
an
or anything like
aircraft
that.
carrier?
Aircraft carrier,
Oh,
yes.
a sailor.
Yeah, yeah. First experience with a secular band.
And when you got out of there, did you kind of hook up with the blues community then?
I did. When I got transferred out to California, 1982,
Mm,
and by the mid 1980s, I was going to blues clubs pretty regularly. Some of
in
the same ones
California.
you went to. Um,
Yeah, that's where we first
Eli's
saw each
Mile
other.
High
The we
Club,
we didn't
Door
meet.
Place, to Till to what was one on Lake Merritt, Fifth Amendment.
Oh,
Uh,
what I fondly call the fifth dementia.
why?
Wait a minute. And then there was the one next to Quickway, which only just
Oh, the
closed
Serenader.
recently. The
The
Serenader.
Serenader, sure.
Them, there was a time when you could go out every night of the week and catch a great blues act.
Hmm.
And so there you were.
Yes, and my
Yeah.
real training for what would actually become uh, a music career
Hmm.
was through Eli's and through playing with these blues bands. Um, it was that training that kind of got me in the door of all the other things I've done. So it started with the blues with me in terms of you know the local
Mhm.
um, introduction into the music scene. It all
Wow.
started there.
Yeah.
I met the guys from the Zydeco Flames there.
Were they also playing there? Well,
Yeah,
mhm.
Bruce, who's
Okay.
the accordion player for the Flames, he was playing with Ted Butler, I think, at the time,
So,
and it was through him that I met Lloyd and the rest of the guys in the band.
right, right, right. And
Yeah.
when, wow, you want to play for a dance band?
Right. That's
Did
exactly.
you
He asked me, did I want to play with the Zydeco band? I had never even heard of the term
love it?
ever,
Love it.
and that was about probably 1990 or 89 or so.
Mm, mm, mm.
And I was like, well, I'll check it out, and rest is history, I guess.
Yeah. Hey,
A lot of
these
history.
shows have hundreds of people showing up.
That's what he said. Our first
Yeah.
gig, I think I
Uh-huh.
mentioned, was at the Concord Pavilion.
Yeah.
Was our very first gig.
Concord Pavilion opening for
Queen
Queen
Ida.
Ida.
Exactly. Yep.
This is okay. This dance music stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's a whole nother world. And then how did Elvin Bishop pick you up?
Um, that was actually that would have been that was probably about 2004, 5, something like that. I got word that he was changing bass players through a mutual friend of ours,
Hmm.
Ian Lamson,
Hmm.
and
Guitarist Ian
I
Lampson.
got an audition. So yeah,
Okay.
then I started touring with him, and I decided toward the end of that period with him is when I decided to Ian and I
Hmm.
uh, build a funk band.
Very
Started from
wisely
scratch.
so. And you guys are turning out some beautiful original material.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Mm.
Really
Mm-hmm.
appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully on this next one, which we're already starting to brainstorm for,
Oh, neat.
there's going to be more writers. So far, it's only been a lot of myself and Wilson Brooks,
Okay.
our fabulous drummer,
Drummer
and
Wilson
Frank
Brooks.
Acosta, our guitar player.
Uh-huh.
So far, it's been just the three of us doing the majority of the writing.
So
But already Jim Peterson, my man Jim, is kicking in and
good.
starting to put some of his ideas down for us to record.
Good.
And it's kind of cool.
Saxophonist and
Yeah.
flute player too. Jim
Sax and
Peterson.
flute and
Yeah. He's been
percussion
there
and
since the beginning.
vocal and
Yeah.
everything. He's cool.
Tremendous
Jim
musician.
is cool.
Yeah, he is cool.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
hopefully we get Mr. Michael Jeffries to kick in and throw down some. He's got wonderful music out there. I think his last record, uh, title, "Nights in the Lab," I believe it's titled.
What a neat
I may be
title.
messing that up,
Hmm.
uh, but he's got some really good music out there. We plan to cover a couple of his songs, and hopefully he'll kick in and help us write some tunes down the line. And also would love to get Mr. Lorenzo Hawkins involved in some writing.
Yeah,
Lorenzo has some
keyboardist
really
Lorenzo Hawkins.
more of the outside ideas that we'd love to get
Mm.
him involved in some of
Yeah. What do you mean by outside ideas?
that. He comes from a place of uh, unusual chord structure and
Oh.
uh, just more of a jazz kind of
Mm.
approach to things. I think
Mhm.
with his music, I've
Mhm.
heard some of his original music, but so far we haven't recorded it. We'd love to get some of his ideas on
Oh,
recorded.
neat. What are you excited about? Any discoveries in music that you've recently had?
Uh, I tend to just kind of gravitate toward the older stuff. Are there bands out there that kind of get my attention? Yeah, there's some, really musical things that are going on, like Volpec and Snarky Puppy and stuff like that. That's,
Yeah.
for me, that's like way outside of my skill level. It's fun to listen to and maybe, look at a different approach to things.
Mhm.
But for the most part, yeah, I kind of gravitate toward the old stuff.
Yeah, you guys got to open for Dumpster Funk as the Elvin Bishop Band.
Melvin Bishop Band. Yeah,
So,
and that was what kind of turned my head toward thinking more, getting myself into a funk situation. So it's when we formed BeaufunK and try to make our own statement with.
yes, and satisfying your own hunger to play it.
Absolute, that was
Yeah,
the
how
biggest part
cool.
of it.
Mhm.
And
How
Dumpster
cool.
Funk was incredible.
Hmm. You have a finger on the pulse of what youngsters and people that are just learning engineering are coming up and wanting to do. What are you seeing? What's the future of music from that
Um,
lens?
the future of music from that lens really doesn't look so bright.
Yeah, so
That I regret
mhm.
to say, and
Yeah,
not because the music they're doing is bad or anything.
right.
It's just that we're losing musicians. So probably by now, at least two generations of musicians have been lost.
Hmm.
Of what would have been musicians. I think I mentioned before to you when I first started teaching this class, my classes, I would have had, the majority of the class would have been actual instrumentalists.
Yeah.
Now, the majority of the class is, beat makers and
Hmm.
hip hop producers. And that is musical, don't get me wrong, but it's very different. And, literally, though, 20 or 30 years down the line, there's going to be a lot less of that. There's a lot less of it now.
Do you listen to anything else that's not so obvious? Like, here I am coming up through all these traditions of music. I play old traditional ethnic music. That's sort of where my passion is. But I also love ambient music. Like, there's one ambient composer called Steve Roach that I have playing all the time if I'm working.
I got to write that down because I like that kind of stuff.
Oh, I will turn you
Steve
on.
Roach.
Look out. Steve Roach, Roach. You're going to be
All right.
sorry. Got his entire catalog. Sometimes you'll cover a Bob Marley song. What's your relationship to Bob Marley and with reggae in general?
I started listening to reggae probably in the early '80s, and of course, when everybody's probably in their lifetime had a Bob Marley's greatest hits record or tape
Or
or something
Kaya, yeah.
or album.
Yeah.
Uh, you don't talk about the evolution of music without mentioning Bob.
Yeah.
Bob is just like one of the messengers, and that's kind of, I've always been attracted to music that has a level of consciousness, or there's something more to it,
Mhm.
something deeper, a little more, makes you think. I want something that actually engages my mind, and
Yeah, you want the lyric content to
the lyric
interest you.
content, and I
Yeah.
love
Mm.
beautiful melodies. I like
Yeah, you do.
dreamy melodies. I
Mm.
love that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
It just is escapism for me. And Bob was kind of, he had that just relentless rhythm, his ideas, his lyrical content. And then I ran into a person at the flea market once who introduced me to a band called Steel Pulse.
Oh yeah.
And my idea about reggae just completely shifted to something way. But I started listening to that record, and I listened to it every day, multiple times a day, and I became a big fan of Steel Pulse.
Do you remember what it was like the first time you heard Shaka Khan and Rufus?
Oh my! I was just thinking about that today. Um, yeah, she was really the first female artist that I really started paying attention to, and to this day, in my mind, she's like one of my most important artists.
Mm-hmm.
But she just happens to be a female. Certainly, my most important female artist.
That's great.
Power.
She
I mean,
rips it
she's
out
got
there.
and control.
And yeah, and control.
Power
Yeah.
and control. Seen it with my own ears, so to speak.
Nice. I wonder if with this shelter in place period of time, if you feel extra creative or extra kind of s-
Stuck.
stifled, stuck.
I feel extra stuck, and I believe it's because I'm paying too close attention to the TV screen. I'll
Okay.
be honest about it. But
Okay.
I feel like I have to see it. I feel like I have to,
Mhm.
pay attention to it.
Mhm.
It's spiritually debilitating
Mm.
to see some of the things that are going on, and people just are accepting all of that. So I mean, I'd like to be able to put it in a song, and the
Mhm.
song that you're going to play for this, I think even back when I wrote it, is really appropriate, and
Yes.
it really kind of says what I want to say
Mhm.
in music. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if I could say it any better than
Right.
that. I'm gonna do this little song I wrote and recorded for BeaufunK back in 2006. A song called "Don't Walk Away." Here's a message that I want to give to you. All the people who believe in love. And after all the fussing and all the fighting, time to rain down like fire from above. It's our time, spirit people, and we gotta fight to have our say. Don't walk away. Everybody knows this world is in a shabby state, and it seems sometimes there ain't much we can do. But if we all help spread the message, I believe we can turn these gray skies into blue. Don't think twice, it's our conviction. Let's be about our work today. Don't walk away. I want you to raise your hand and join our band. Spread the message of peace and tranquility. And don't delay. Be there and make your stand. It's our time to set our captives free. Don't walk away. Don't walk away. Don't walk away.
When I think about like leaders in music like Bob Marley you can actually do a lot with a song. Do you
Right.
think that actually moves people to change?
It has. I think without Bob Marley's music,
Mm.
there would be a lot more
Mhm.
whites
Mhm. Mhm.
that stayed in the path
Interesting.
of racism
Uh-huh.
and stayed on par with some of their you know their teachings. I think
Yeah.
Bob Marley converted
Uh-huh.
a lot of young whites.
Nice. Kind of a
Absolutely,
bridge.
there's no doubt in my mind
Yeah.
the effect that music had
Mhm.
on young white people.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Hmm.
if I could write one song that did that, you know what I'm saying? He had probably like 25 or 30, but maybe more than that. That just brought us together, man.
A hungry man is an angry man.
Absolutely,
Um, yeah, right place, right time. He was really angry, but
absolutely,
was so
and he knew.
kind to his people.
That's an amazing man. I have two music artists hanging on my walls here: Bob Marley and Jimi Hendrix.
Wow.
The only two,
Right.
because just the impact,
Oh,
man. The
Jimmy,
impact,
another amazing influence on both
impact.
black and white
Thank you.
people.
Impact.
Right?
Hmm.
And snuffed, okay,
Both snuffed.
silenced
Both snuffed.
in his late 20s, 27.
I think Jimmy was. I can't remember actually.
I think
I
he
have
was
to
in the
go.
27 club. A whole bunch of rockers died at that age.
Yeah, yeah. I have
Yeah.
one other
Mm.
person on my wall, and it's Malcolm X. So
Oh.
I think the
Mhm.
people that are the impact players, at least in my change, the book that really changed my direction in thinking was the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Okay. Was that was one of the things that you read
That was a
young?
spinner for me. That was like,
Mhm.
okay. And there's a lot of
Mhm.
things in there I don't agree with,
Sure.
but
It's
just to
good.
to understand
Mhm.
more.
Mhm.
Those are life changing things. And the music of Jimmy, the music of Bob. Without it, we'd be much worse than we are now.
Right. Right.
You think we've evolved little? Without them, we probably wouldn't have evolved, nearly as much.
Isn't it interesting that it was leaders like that? And we talk about leaders in music
Right.
that.
It's about the impact, man.
Mhm. Mhm.
Maybe, with the little small things we do, we make, some headway, but
Yeah. Yeah, we talk about ripples.
right.
Tim, this is so fun. I
Yes,
could
it is.
I would talk with you every week for an hour. We could just
That's
do
great.
do a conversation about music.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah. And there would be plenty to talk about.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah.
We're really strange and also rich time we live in.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on to be said,
Ooh.
a lot of good music to be made. I guess it's
Mhm.
up to us to go out and make it.
Yeah.
All right, then.
This has been fun.
Very much so.
Talk to you soon, Tim.
Okay, take care then.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Say what you will about this thing that I love. I'm all up in the club. I got to be doing it, and this is how we funky. Music, music is the sun that shines down on me. Music, music is the sun that shines down on me. Music, music is the sun that shines down on me. Now if I should fall from the grace of God, music, music is the sun that shines down on me. Music, music is the sun that shines down on me.
You're listening to The Leslie Show.